Have you ever dreamed of maybe a 4-day work week instead of those long 40 hours or a 5-day work week? It may become normal overseas, a 4-day work week, but it's like a foreign language here in the U.S. until now, maybe. Anyways, lawmakers in Maryland want to give it a try, introducing a new bill making its way through the Maryland State Legislature that would establish a 4-day work week. This is just on a trial basis. Now, the program would incentivize workers to increase their productivity and output.
And then also maybe enjoy a 3-day weekend. How about that? Maryland Delegate Vaughn Stewart is the leading sponsor of the bill, and he's with us now. Sir, thanks for coming on. Let's dive into it if we can. Looking at the piece of legislation here, it would establish the 4-day workweek pilot program in the Maryland Department of Labor for the purpose of promoting, incentivizing, and supporting the experimentation and study of the use of a 4-day workweek by private and public employers. So why do you think now's the time to introduce this?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks so much for having me this afternoon. So the reason, the impetus for this bill was a study done by an organization called the 4-Day Week Global Foundation throughout 2022. They looked at 33 companies, more than 900 employees across North America and Ireland. And these companies for 6 months promised to reduce work hours from 40 to 32 hours a week without reducing pay. And then they looked at how successful it was. Now, what probably stands to reason, what you could probably guess, is that employees love this. 97% of the workers wanted the trial to continue. They thought it was a rousing success. But what shocked me is that the employers loved it just as much. They rated it on average from 1 to 10. They rated it a 9. And on average, the companies increased their profits 8% and actually saw productivity gains among their workforce. So the reason for this bill is I think we are on the verge here of a win-win possibility where we could make workers' lives more rich and more fulfilling while actually improving the bottom line of companies.
This is one of those that I don't even want to read the fine print. I just want to go ahead and agree. 4-day work week sounds great. My question, you already really answered it, was are you just going to take the 40 hours and put it in the 4 days? And no, you're going down to 32. You're going to do an 8-hour shift, but only 4 days a week, and then you got the other 3 days to do what you will. Doesn't sound like a bad deal. Tell me the fine print. Is there pushback on this?
Yeah, well, the fine print is that, folks in Maryland shouldn't think that we're going to pass this bill, snap our fingers, and all of a sudden every Maryland worker is going to benefit from this. This is just a tax credit program for 5 years to companies that want to do this. So we're not forcing any employers that they don't want to shift to a reduced work schedule. We don't want to make them do that. But for companies that are maybe already on the fence, they've seen some of their peer firms do this, they maybe read the studies, they're intrigued. We're hoping this bill, this tax credit, will be that little gentle nudge to push them in the right direction so that they're willing to make this leap of faith. And we want them to collect data about how successful it is, share that data with the state of Maryland. So at the end of the 5-year pilot program, we know how successful or unsuccessful this program is, because as you mentioned, it has worked pretty well in Europe. But, Berlin, Germany is not Berlin, Maryland. Cambridge, England is not the same as Cambridge, Massachusetts, much less Cambridge, Maryland. So we want to get some local results for this and see if the success that this kind of approach has seen across the world will also take root here in Maryland.
Yeah, and as I gather, you say optional for companies to make this decision, because as we know, there are some businesses that just can't make this possible. You've got, hospital staff, you've got to keep that open 24/7, right, in case anyone had an emergency. I also think of school, right? If you've got students who are used to a 5-day work week, parents only working 4 days a week, that could impact things as well. Have you heard about maybe some companies that this just wouldn't apply for?
Yeah, certainly it's not going to work, right? We don't want to impose a one-size-fits-all solution on every single different type of sector, public sector and private sector and every different type of business. What I will note, interestingly, is that in some parts of the state, nurses have actually shifted to a reduced work schedule. And of course, that means you may have to hire more nurses because hospitals are a 24/7 business. But you can make it work. And so we do want to focus on, it's not just about a 4-day week. It's not just that companies that lop off Friday and have a 3-day weekend would be eligible for this. This is really about hours rather than days. And so I've heard from a lot of regular folks and a lot of companies that say, hey, I think our employees would rather take a couple of days off in the afternoon so they can be there when their kids get off of school and work 5 days a week, but maybe get out at 2 or 3 rather than just skip Fridays. And so we want this to be flexible for companies. We want this to be able to fit their own needs and their own workforce. But I do think that you're right. I think, for schools, I don't think that we're necessarily on the verge anytime soon of having a 4-day work week for schools. And certainly there are businesses out there that it's not going to work for. And that's why we're not going to impose anything. It's just if companies are interested in this idea, they want to apply for a tax credit, we want to be there to help them.
It sounds well thought out, and it's explained well, and it's written out well. It seems as if there is incentive for companies to try it. So final question, I'll end on this. Give us a timeline, give the viewers a timeline there, because many other states will be watching what you're doing if this thing goes through. When do you anticipate that this could be adopted?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got our House hearing on Valentine's Day, February 14th. People should Google me and email me if you want to help out. We have our Senate side hearing on February 9th. This bill would probably be passed. It's sometime in late March or early April. It would go into effect if it were passed July 1. Companies could get tax credits for the 2023 tax year. They could get tax credits for up to 2 years. We'd study it for 5 years, and then in 2028, maybe we'd have some good data. So if this is something you're interested in, let me know. You can come testify at the hearing virtually. You can submit written testimony if this is something you're interested in, whether you're in Maryland or not. And hopefully we'll get this through, and hopefully we'll get this rolling by the summer.
All right. That is Delegate Vaughn Stewart. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. We really appreciate the conversation.